BoxBox Hub is an absolute essential for any Formula One fan, and the entire app with new widgets, statistics, localized race schedules, and countdowns, you name it. They even have support for Apple's new live activities feature with real-time updates during a race right on the lock screen, and honestly, some of the best looking widgets I've seen.
Everyone, it's season 15 of ALR. Gold, silver, and bronze, even though it's season 12 for bronze and season 12 for silver as well. I'm going to be honest, I'm a little out of practice, Alex, so I haven't done this for like 3 months now, something like that. And I know you've time boxed me as well, so we've got 2 minutes. So how are you, firstly, my good sir?
I'm good. Yeah, looking forward to the new season. It's going to be pretty fun, I think, on the F1 26 sort of regulations. So, yeah, let's see how it goes. Lots of boosting and lots of other thing that we're not allowed to mention.
Does it begin with a C? Not that word. Anyway, yes, a lot of super clipping, I think, is what the order today is. However, more importantly, the other C I want to talk about is Cadillac. Cadillac are in Formula 1. I am so happy that we got 11 teams this season, but I'm not sure the admins are because you've had to find 2 extra drivers, Alex.
Oh, it's been fun, but looking forward to seeing how the grids unfold tonight.
I know, I cannot wait for that. It's probably the best part of the season, isn't it, really? The Wheel of Fortune or Misfortune, depending on who you want to drive for as well, which is fantastic. Of course, we have 20 rounds on the Formula One calendar. Of course, we'll do the season preview just before the start of the Australian Grand Prix, which is that a giveaway? Is that a spoiler? Possibly. But we're traditionalists, aren't we, Alex? We don't start anywhere but Australia. So that is going to be fantastic stuff indeed. Sadly, no event league this season, but of course, we might bring it back next season. I know a lot of the event drivers were very disappointed by that, and I think we're going to go into the video, so let's go. And of course we do have the bronze to go first then. So with bronze then, 22 drivers, 11 teams. I can't get me maths out here, this is going to be tough, isn't it? But yeah, bronze last season was very interesting in terms of who's gone up and who's stayed, and we got two wheels. Goodness me, Alex, I'm not going to be able to focus, good lord. But look at that. Doesn't it look cool having Audi and Cadillac on there? I love the fact that we spoke about Cadillac, but Audi as well, having a proper Audi manufacturer on the grid then. Of course, replacing Sauber, which is so sad, isn't it? Anyway, I've got to get back to that in a minute, because look, we've also got Haas, who is also a title sponsor of Toyota, potentially. Of course, they could become a Toyota, couldn't they? Oh, goodness me. Anyway, that's not ALR, that's for the future of Formula One, but Haas is the first off the board. Haas was 9th in the Constructors last season. Pretty disappointed season. Liam and Marshy did a very good job, to be fair. I'm looking forward to see what he could do this season, but before we get into Liam, let's see who's first off the board. It is Mr. Elite is first off the board then, making his 51st Grand Prix start, if all goes well, down under in Australia. Mr. Elite finished 10th in the Drivers' Championship last season with the Aston Martin team. I prepared for this, by the way, this year, Alex, so I'm not going to sound unsure. I know. South High Five. Next off the wheel is Marsky. I was close there, but Marsky is next off the wheel, and Marsky was 4th in the Drivers' Championship last season, so in theory, with the 3 drivers that have gone up to silver and gold, then Marsky is the favourite.
I think he might be, to be fair. He's obviously had some very good results last season. Mr. Elite has also been there with good results in bronze, and yeah, I think that's a pretty good lineup for Team Haas.
That really is, and I must say, I'm getting all sweaty with those graphics. That's beautiful. I love the fact you can see drivers standing up right as well. Yeah. I almost prepared. Obviously, I haven't watched the video yet, have I? Audi is next up the wheel. Yes, look at that. I must admit, it's not the most beautiful of Formula One car, is it? But I got to say, I'm just loving the fact Audi's on the grid. As I said, I am very disappointed that Sauber's not on the grid. I mean, I did like that Dayglow green, but having Audi on the grid, doesn't it feel special to have Audi on the grid?
Well, it's great for me. I own one of them, so not the F1 car version, no. But yeah, I would love to be in the Audi for league racing. That'd be great.
Oh, you all do an Audi, do you? Goodness me, I'm an esteemed company. Talking of esteemed company, here's Webb Staffin off the wheel. Then, of course, 20th Grand Prix start down under in Australia. Only one DNF in his career of bronze. That is absolutely fantastic. A bit of ups and downs there for Webb Staffin. He seems to be famine or feast. 30th for the championship, which is, I think that's a bit harsh, really, because he deserved a bit more there. I know that he'd come into some unforeseen issues there. And returning, of course, from last season was Shadows. Shadows took a couple of seasons out then, but has returned Shadows and he finished 5th in the championship last season. So in theory, in my world, Alex, then Shadows should be runner-up in the World Championship this year.
If it goes the same way, yeah, I'm sure it will be. But I think, again, that's another strong lineup. Then Wabstappen, of course, an ever-consistent driver as well. And then Shadows has shown last season that he's got the speed. So I think Audi then, of course, coming to the bronze grid then for the first time, then are going to be looking pretty happy with that.
I love those graphics. That's fantastic. I'm getting a bit giddy. Next up the wheel is Alpine. By the way, make the most of Alpine in the pink and blue. I'm devastated because, of course, they're now sponsored by... Is it Gucci? Am I saying that right? That's not a rude word, is it? I don't know. Ducky. Oh, is that Ducky? I feel very... I'm looking forward, though, to the... it is Gucci, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I was just being an idiot.
Oh, don't worry about that. I'm an idiot as well. That's why I got an IQ of 69. Nice. Who's Alpina finished runner-up in the Constructors' Championship last season then. Got 81 points away from the Red Bull team then. Oh, God. I didn't think he was returning. Serious Mushroom first off the wheel. Making a 139th Grand Prix start. Goodness me. This man would never retire. Of course, a Grand Prix win as well. And only 3 DNFs in those 138 Grand Prix starts. That's pretty impressive stuff. 7th for the World Championship last season there for Serious Mushroom, even though he was 174 points away from the championship, but that's just minor detail. And a driver who will be making a full-time appearance for the first time in their career in ALR. 4th Grand Prix start, the best result of 18th there for Task Manager. Is that right? It isn't Task Manager, is it?
I think it's Tasman GR. So, but anyway, no, good stuff indeed, and welcome to the grid then for Taz, and of course the ever-present Serious Mushroom as well. Then looking good again. I think he's been in the Alpine a couple of times before in previous seasons, but I'm sure he's very happy not to be in the Haas. So there we go.
Well, he always makes a hass of himself, doesn't he? Racing Balls is next. By the way, this is very important. I almost screamed in your ear, didn't I? This is very important because Ford is returning to the grid for the first time since 2000. Oh gosh, I can't remember. Anyway, last time they had a podium was the pole position was the French Grand Prix. But Ford is now powering the Red Bull, and for the first time in ALR's history, you got a Ford engine on the grid. I love the fact that we got Ford on the grid. That is fantastic. It really is indeed. Then, of course, Racing Bulls finished 4th in the Constructors' Championship last season. Is that Marshy? No, it's Irvine. Irvine is next off the wheel. Then Irvine has never won a race in bronze, which it surprises me. I'm sure he had, unless I haven't updated my stats properly. But Irvine, the best finish of 2nd in his career, and making his 27th Grand Prix start. Only 4 DNFs there. I do notice the lack of DNFs in the drivers' stats in recent years has been fantastic. It really has indeed there for Irvine. Irvine finished 6th in the championship, so technically he's going to be in the top 3 this season. And another driver returning then is Stephen Anthony then. Of course, I think he's fed up being a father now, isn't he? He's decided to get back into a Formula 1 machine there. Making his 31st Grand Prix start tonight as well. Only tonight in Australia. 2 DNFs to his name, Alexander.
Yeah, very good stuff indeed. Of course, both drivers that can kick on, and of course, I think, like you said, with Irvine's case, then potentially go for the Drivers' Championship. But of course, I think a very consistent and very quick team overall for Racing Bulls then for bronze.
It really is indeed. I'm really confuzzled myself now. I want to know when the last time Ford raced, because technically, do you call Ford Cosworth? I don't know. I think that's a chat for the first race of the season, isn't it? Potentially when I'm waffling in and qualified. Mercedes off the board next. Then they were 6th in the Constructors' Championship for bronze last season. I think that they kind of had ebbs and flows there, didn't they? They had a kind of a driver that struggled to get to the end of the races a few times as well. So I think that aiming for big stuff this season, I think, for Mercedes. And I'm sure that Goddard's, who's coming off the wheel now, raced for Mercedes before, if I'm not very much mistaken. Of course, Goddard is quite inexperienced in the terms of the grid there, only making his 16th Grand Prix start this season for Goddard's. But I must say that I do feel that Goddard's is a man who will be on the cusp, I think, of a podium finish this season. Maybe midfield madness for Goddard's potentially. And who is next off the wheel? I think that's Liam, isn't it? Nope, it's Marshy there. Hang on, where's Marshy on my list? Ah, there he is. 9th Grand Prix start there for Marshy. Made his debut in Las Vegas. Of course, we all love Viva Las Vegas, don't we? For Marshy, of course, never a top 10 finisher, but did finish 11th there. We haven't spoken about the points yet, have we? But should we do that in the? We might do that in the upcoming preview video, shall we? Or is this the preview video, Alex? I don't know. Perhaps I should probably read my director's notes before starting this. But Mercedes, Alex.
I have no idea what's going on there. But yes, points down to 15, basically in a nutshell. Then Goddard's and Marshy, and of course Goddard's, I think, is returning from former Mercedes seat previous season. But yeah, looking forward to seeing them getting on the grid. With Aston Martin then next to come off the wheel.
Luckily, it's not. It's equal performance. Otherwise, whoever at the Aston Martin would not be very happy there, especially if you don't like vibrations. There, steady on. It's a PG show. But Aston Martin finished 8th in the constructors last season, and they had a bit again, like Mercedes, had a bit of an up and down season, really, didn't they? Of course, this season they will be powered by Honda, and remember how mighty Honda was over the past couple of years. And Aniki Reaper, then, who was driving for Mercedes, has made the switch to Aston Martin this season, just outside the top 10 the Drivers' Championship last season for Anarchy Reaper. Of course, Anarchy Reaper has had a Grand Prix win as well and a pole position there. So Aston Martin have really got a proven winner then. But can he win on more consistency this season? I think that Anarchy Reaper is going to be a dark horse for this championship. And Kaidal, who I think got the first race win of the season last season, didn't he? A race win as well for Kaidal, but really struggled. Kaidal was either famine or feast. I love that that saying. But Alex, the Aston Martin team, I think there's potential, but Kaidal needs to nip down that consistency, which we loved to say that word in the season review last season, didn't we?
We did, yes. What I was just thinking about that. They bookended the season with Kaidal winning the first race and Reaper winning the final race. So maybe they'll continue on that form and try and get some more wins for Aston Martin as well.
Good memory. I forgot about that. I thought Anarchy Reaper won in the second to last one. Oh, Ferrari's next. Anyway, we'll come back to that later. Ferrari next on the Ferrari is next on the list. Then fifth in the Constructors' Championship last season for the Scuderia. Of course, a bit more white on the Ferrari. I'm not really sure about that. I must admit, I prefer my Ferraris more red than white. But there we go. And then again, it does remind me on the 2016 Ferrari, which was not a very good car, was it? But I don't think the driver's going to mind. And of course, we got another returning driver now. I don't know. I think you must be paying these drivers, Alex, because Slayer is back in the car as well. Struggled last season. He struggled in the last few seasons, Slayer. But we cannot forget that Slayer is a Grand Prix winner, so we cannot take that for granted there. And he's been on the podium 4 times in his career as well, making his 96th Grand Prix start down under in Australia in just a few weeks' time. Then for Slayer. By the way, I'm not sure if are we recording this live, Alex? We're technically not, are we? So we've just finished watching the England game. Sequence I'm exposing tonight. Ruthless Venom is next. Ruthless Venom is next off the board. Ruthless Venom then, of course, it's special sort of 5th position for Ruthless Venom. Never got a podium, but what Ruthless Venom does bring to the table is lack of DNFs there. Only 2 retirements in his 16 starts there. Ferrari, then there might be an uphill struggle this season now.
No, I think that they'll. Well, like I said, both drivers have obviously had good seasons in their respective different seasons through their bronze careers. So let's see what they can do and bouncing back and forth with Slayer coming back to the grid and Venom looking to capitalise then after the Aston Martin season last season as well.
Red Bull Racing is next on the board, and of course they are powering their own engine this season. Power unit, technically, isn't it? But of course, the Red Bull Ford, then having Ford on the grid is fantastic. Of course, Ford has got such a rich history in Formula One and Grand Prix racing as well, hasn't it? So I'm really excited about that. It's pretty impressive what Red Bull have done in the real world, hasn't it? Really. But again, of course, this is a driver draw, Alex. We're not meant to be talking about F1, are we? Vintage is first off the board. Vintage there, of course, the most experienced driver in bronze history. I think he's about 8 Grand Prix starts in front of Cirrus Mushroom, so that is some serious numbers. Vintage there on 146 Grand Prix starts there. Of course, a podium to his name as well for Vintage. A driver that gets a lot of finishes and a lot of points finish, a lot of finishes and a lot of finishes in the points as well. Only 6 retirements in those 146 starts there, so he's finished 140 races. That's ridiculous. I don't think I'll ever finish 140 races in my whole career of racing on F1 games when I started in 95. Rosa Sky next off the board. Rosa Sky, of course, 2 pole positions to his name and a couple of podiums, but never got a Grand Prix win, Alex. I'm not sure about the Red Bull team. I do feel that there'll be a midfield madness potentially, but do you think the sky might be the limit for the team?
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing True Geordie back in his Red Bull, because of course he was there a few seasons ago. And Rosa Sky, like you said, if he can get that consistency, there's that word again, and then he can get those performances that he can do. We've seen it before. Then I think that'll be a very good team indeed.
Oh my God, it's Cadillac, yes. Too hard to say, but no, I did prefer him to have be called Andretti, but never mind. Cadillac, nonetheless, of course, powered by Ferrari. They will have their own power unit in a couple of years' time, depending on what they want to do with the old engine rules and all that kind of stuff, but that's a different story for a different day. Another returnee, Casal, I don't think he raced last season, Casal didn't, but of course, Casal with 14 Grand Prix starts there, and a few podiums as well, and only one DNF there. So Casal, I think that the Cadillac will be very happy there. Very much Cadillac kind of drawing from the real world of Formula 1 by getting a Perez and Bottas style of driver there. A bit of experience there, which is good stuff indeed there for Cadillac. And next off the board then, who is San there. San, who has had 2 podium finishes there, but I'm going to use the C word again, not Cadillac, not the other word either. Consistency. San did have flashes of brilliance, but unfortunately finished 15th in the championship last season, which I do feel was because of the struggling to get to the end of the races.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what Sam can do, because I think this might be the season where he kicks on and goes for potentially top 3 in the drivers. And with Cassell coming back, like you said, touching on the experience side of things, then he knows how to do the F1 league racing. So I think that could be a pretty good team for Cadillac this season in bronze.
It certainly can, and but I say I was prepared because I did have a lot of races in Cobalt as well, but unfortunately I haven't got my Cobalt stats up. Shocking stuff indeed there. Prepare to fail, fail to prepare. So as always, there was like Williams is next there. I must admit, I'm not really sure about that Barclays sponsor there. I do like the Duracell badge, that's fantastic, isn't it? But anyway, Williams said they were 10th in the Constructors' Championship last season. They were last. Williams struggled in all championships, really, didn't they? They were bottom for, I think they were in the bottom half of most of the constructors actually, but I think a driver that I think the sky's the limit for Liam. Especially in the event league, didn't Liam have flashes of brilliance last season towards the end? I remember the Brazilian Grand Prix where Liam was very much punched above his weight. He showed how to really race on those intermediate tires, which is superb stuff indeed. They're making his 44th Grand Prix start in Australia there for Liam. Liam finished 18th in the championship, but very unlucky in Brazil. I think should have and could have got a major points haul there. And Halsey, again, the sky's the limit for Halsey there, very much getting better and better. Unfortunately, I do remember the Australian Grand Prix for Halsey where he was going for that zero stop strategy before a puncture really detailed, I don't know, unfortunately unrailed his card, so to speak, but he did get 3 podiums, 32 appearances there for Halsey as well for the Williams team.
Yeah, I think, no personal bias, but they're my favourite team. I'm looking forward to seeing what Liam can do. And of course, he did a great job last season as well in 2 different divisions. And of course, Halsey then has been the ever-present, ever-consistent as well then from previous seasons. So, and what a man, myth, legend he is. So there we go.
Absolutely, and I need to ask him about some stats on constructors as well. So remind me about that when we're streaming. I'm not sure whether to have 2 starts for constructor or 1 start, but I'll go into that later on. Right, where are we now? McLaren, good lord. So the McLaren, and they finished 6th of the constructors last season, and another returning. Goodness me, Alex. I don't know what you're offering these drivers here. Let's not go down that road. But Ballot now making his 44th Grand Prix start in Australia. Ballot does have 13 DNFs there, which is the 2nd highest. However, though, I think that's kind of like seesaws the stats ever so slightly, because of course Ballot does have 43 Grand Prix starts. And Justify, who again, like in Australia, I think it was the first race of the season last season, where Justify had a really good start in this Ferrari there, making his 5th Grand Prix start there for Justify. Did finish 8th a long time ago in bronze there, so it's great to see Justify on the grid. One driver who really wanted to have the event league carried on, but he's driving in bronze this season.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing how, of course, both of them sort of jump back into the bronze experience, I suppose you could say, because of course they've been out of the game for a little while. But looking forward to seeing how McLaren fare then for bronze as well. And that is the 11 teams decided there, Sean.
It is indeed then. Do I do predictions?
Go on. I'm not going you got to do it. Go on.
Hang on a minute. Let me get my stat book back up. Let's see. No, I'm cheating here, aren't I? There's one team that sticks out for me, and it's the only team with 2 drivers with 2 wins there, and that's Kai Dow and Anarchy Reaper. They, as you said there, bookend the season. No other driver pairing has two Grand Prix winning drivers there. However, having said that, Cirrus Motion does have the most podiums of anyone there, albeit that is against a lightly skew whiff there of 138 starts there. I've gone for Aston Martin though for Constructors Drivers Championship. I think Marski.
Well, there you go then. I'm not going to make a prediction. So we'll call it there. No.
I'm going to be honest.
I don't know. I'll be looking forward to it all, because it's going to be fantastic, I'm sure. And welcome to the grid then for the 22 drivers then for bronze.
I love the fact we've got 22 drivers. Next, we need 24, don't we? Bring in BYD. Maybe not, because I think they're an EV, aren't they? Or electrical vehicle, whatever. Anyway, yes. But Marski's going to really cuss me, because every time I predict that he does well, he doesn't have a very good season, does he? But I do think that Marski's always been the bridesmaid, but never the bride. So I do feel that this is going to be his season. He's been third in the championship a few times. Oh, we're on to silver. Goodness me. Right, McLaren are first off the board. McLaren finished third in the Constructors' Championship last season. Now, of course, they did have a champion in their mix last season. Now, of course, KD winning the silver championship last season. He is now going to be applying his trade in gold, which I'm really looking forward to that there. But McLaren first off the board, then really good stuff indeed there. I do feel McLaren was let down ever so slightly there. We've only having one driver there. And goodness me, how big is R2 beat there? Is that R2 beat? Who's that? R1? D4? Interesting. I don't know who that is yet, but we'll find out in a minute. Nigel first off the board. Nigel is the only champion in this field there. World champion back in season 5, of course, on F1 22. We all love that game. Nigel there, of course, making it 109th Grand Prix start. He has the most wins on the field, or in the field there, with 11 Grand Prix wins. 13 podiums there, which is double the next highest there, which is Mumford on 16, which is very impressive stuff indeed. Actually, it's not double there, because Mumford had 16. I can't do maths. And reflections there. That's my pick for constructors, Alex. I'm nailing my colours to the mask.
Don't need to do any more of the wheel.
Reflections, a Grand Prix winner as well. Of course, he won his Grand Prix, first Grand Prix win last season, and he was so good in bronze. And Reflection was so good in silver as well last season. Reflection was, of course, I think he finished 6th there. So I do feel that Reflections is very much one of the championship favourites.
There's 2 double championship winning drivers in that team. I think you might have called it right there. That's going to be pretty good lineup from McLaren. I'm sure they're happy with that. Then as we go on to the Alpine.
The Alpine indeed then, which I'm really going to miss that beautiful blue and pink car. So sad. But then, by the way, we've recorded that. This is recorded, isn't it? So at the end of the season, we need to rerun this, and I'm going to say that I called it right then, which probably isn't the case, because Reflection and Nigel knows that the commentator's curse is real and very much alive and kicking when I'm around then. First off the board then is, second off the board is the Alpine team, and I have no grip. Well, hopefully the gentleman has grip there. Only one Grand Prix start there, and I think he lies about that, because he finished 5th in his debut race in Italy last season there. So if he had no grip, I don't think he would have stayed on the circuit. I have no grip, I can tell you that. That's why I only raced in one race last season. But I have no grip there. Very inexperienced there. That's going to be interesting to see how Alpine plays that then. Next off the wheel, another returning driver. Goodness gracious me, it's Back to the Future then. I wonder if Marty's around. Mr. Rage then, of course, a Grand Prix winner with 28 Grand Prix starts there. Alpine don't have much experience there in terms of that team now. Of course, I have no grip there, only making his 2nd Grand Prix start. Mr. Rage returning there for Alex, and they finished 2nd in the Constructors last season. How do you think they're going to fare? Because that could be quite an inexperienced team in terms of the new era of Formula One.
I think that those two might be the dark horses, and Alpine might still be looking to get themselves in the fight for the Constructors' Championship in that one. So stay tuned.
Absolutely, we'll stay tuned as well. Oh, I like the alloys on that Williams. That's fantastic, isn't it? Your least favourite team, though, isn't it, Alex? Unfortunately, I'm not sure if that's to do because they finished last in the Constructors last season, but we'll move on. Anyway, yeah, in terms of... So Williams are next, then, by the way. They didn't finish last in silver, I don't think. I think they finished 8th then on 87 points for the Williams team, but Williams had a bit of a revolving door, didn't they, unfortunately? First off the board, then, for the Williams team is Hungry Stars, then. Hungry Stars then, of course, getting promoted from bronze to silver last season, and it did a very good job, actually. Stars did. All our promotees did a great job there. Stars had finished 13th in the championship last season for Styles, making his 18th Grand Prix start with best finish of 4th position. I think he's going to get a podium this season for Hungry Stars there. I have no doubt about that. And next off the board is... we got a new driver, Alex. I'm just looking for him on my board. I can't see it. I can't see the gentleman or the driver, I should say. But debutant there from Incredible.
Yeah, Regan McKinnon then jumping in then as well for the Silver Grid. Then there's going to be another candidate in as well at the top of the field, I think. Hungry Styles, then can he go further than his exploits in his first season in Silver? Then I'm sure he can. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do as well then. And I think he's turned off some assists as well then going through into his second Silver season. So let's see what Team Williams can do then. But I think that might be a pretty good team as well.
They might be, but it might be again with the Alpine team where they may struggle for experience in the new era of modern Formula One. Cadillac, yes, Cadillac next off the board. Of course, Cadillac didn't have a finish position last season because they wasn't racing, which is an absolute shame, isn't it? But at least they're here now, which is all fantastic, isn't it? I was going to say something, but I can't remember what I was going to say, which is quite lucky actually, isn't it? Because I don't know what comes out of my mouth half the time. First off the wheel for the Cadillac team is Riley. Is it? It is Riley. Gosh, that was tight, wasn't it? Lewis Riley. He had a really good season last season. A Grand Prix win, a pole position as well, 5 podiums for Riley. He did go on the missing list halfway through the season, didn't he? In the mid-season, but then it really came back with vengeance, didn't he? For Riley, strong season last season. I feel that top half of the championship. I'm not sure. I think promotion may be a bit of a stretch there, but I have been proven wrong so many times on these wheels, haven't I? And Debo Croc there. Debo Croc, very unfortunate in that Mercedes team. I must say that because Debo Croc was Mercedes. Sorry, I think it was the Kick Sauber, isn't it? No, it was Mercedes. I'm getting Debo Croc in the real fig mix. If I apologise. Debo Croc then was very unfortunate for the Mercedes team last season. Very much qualifying at the outer echelons of the top 10, but I do feel that Debo Croc there can potentially get a podium as well this season. Now, I've waffled on, Alex. So what do you reckon about Cadillac?
I think Lewis might be able to count his name in there for the hat to potentially go for the Drivers' Championship. And with Debo Croc as well, then I think getting himself into the top 10, then going further than last season, then potentially a good lineup there for Cadillac as well. Then with Ferrari then next off the wheel.
They certainly are indeed. Ferrari finished 7th in the constructors last season now. I think the Ferrari, in terms of a constructor, of course, they did have a very struggling chlorine pilot, and it was kind of excuse me, I've got a very noisy neighbour. And Reflections there, who finished 6th in the championship last season. Oh, God, talking of noise, here's far. Far off the wheel. Yeah, Ferrari did struggle last season, didn't they? Of course, Reflections doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and chlorine pilot really did struggle in terms of getting into the flow of things there, unfortunately. But Ferrari does have Farfan, who is the most experienced driver on the field, on the grid there for the silver category. 3 Grand Prix wins there for RTB there, and it's Rihad off the board. Oh, that's the driver. I didn't recognise. Is that their new gamer tag?
Yes. Yeah. So Rihad Yamakovic back then from, I think he raced in silver a few seasons ago now as well then, but back on the grid then, and of course, well, unfortunately for him, partnered with Farf. So what can you do? There you go.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. What a welcome. What a welcome back. 18 Grand Prix starts for Rihad Yamakovic there, so really good stuff indeed for Ferrari. Ferrari have got one decent driver anyway. Next up is the Haas team, and of course maybe the sister team to Ferrari potentially. Haas, of course, was the all-singing, all-dancing, all-conquering team last season now. The Constructors' Championship with Potstuff and Ginner, and what a season that those two drivers had then. Of course, I think that they were rightfully the Constructors' Championship. Both Potstuff and Ginner was superb. Here comes the Farhad then, first off the wheel there. Farhad making 9 Grand Prix starts. I think Farhad is coming from no, he was a reserve driver, became a full-time driver, finished 14th in the championship last season, but having a proper crack at it this season now for Farhad. And remember, he was really good, especially in Singapore, until he got Farfed, unfortunately. Sadly, Farf is still in the championship as well, so he's got to keep an eye on Farf. Next off the wheel then will be Mumford then, and Mumford making the 60th Grand Prix start there for Mumford there. Mumford there, maybe I was a bit disappointed with Mumford last season. He did struggle. Good Lord!
My goodness me!
I know. I live in a ghetto town. Mumford was a disappointment for me this last season. I really struggled. Potentially that might be down to of course the ground effect cars. Potentially there's a new era of Formula One. There's no ground effect anymore, which is really good stuff indeed. There, Mumford and Farhad, Alex.
Yeah, I think, like I said, both drivers that need to find the consistency then and get those results as they go through the season. But hopefully then together then in the Haas, then they can do a good job.
They certainly can indeed. The Mercedes next off the wheel then. Of course, Mercedes, like Ferrari, they had one driver scoring big and the other driver really struggling there. So I think the Mercedes would certainly like to have a bit more of a balance there. But let's see who's first off the wheel for the Mercedes team. Not many drivers are left off the wheel there for the Mercedes team. Prudish medal. Medal? Yeah, medal. Gosh, I've been out of the game too long as well, haven't I? Prudish medal, I think, being stepped up to a full-time driver, if I'm not very much mistaken, there will be making their third Grand Prix start. Never finished in the top 10 for Prudish there, but when you become a full-time driver, your vision changes a bit, doesn't it? It goes from a reserve driver, you're probably not as concerned, are you? But then when you become a full-time driver, you really start to put a focus on things there. And Smithy Almighty, goodness me, he's very much OP in terms of getting constructors, isn't he? I thought he was going to pinch it last season as well in the constructors for Smithy Almighty there. But of course, Smithy Almighty they're making his 47th Grand Prix start for the Mercedes team. And of course, Smithy Almighty also finished 11th in the championship, just outside the top 10. Just showed how well the class from bronze went to silver last season. But a good team there for Mercedes, but I don't think they're going to be threatening the podium places.
Well, Prudish will do all heavy carrying there. Smithy's going to have to just try and do his best. So there we go.
Brutal, I love it. Racing Bulls is next off the wheel. Then, of course, Racing Bulls finished fourth in the Constructors' Championship last season with 200 points out. That really helps my OCD. I love it. I wish all numbers were around like that. Having said that, it's going to be a struggle this season. Of course, points going down to 15. Goodness me, Alex, I'm going to be working all the way till Sunday. I hope you want those standings. I hope you don't mind having those standings like 4 days late. Who's off the board? Jay Hings is off the board for Racing Bulls, making their 60th Grand Prix start. Jay Hings getting promoted from bronze into silver. Jay Hings superb last season. Fell away a bit when challenging for the championship last season for Jay Hings, but it was we love this word, consistency for Jay Hings. There was always in the top echelons of the points there, and I think Racing Bulls would be overjoyed to have the bronze driver making their way up to silver and being part of the team then. And Jinner, of course, winning 2 Grand Prix then with 7 podiums for Jinner. Really good stuff indeed. Of course, a part of that impressive Constructors winning duo with Pot Stuff. Can Jinner have a second Constructors Championship this season, Alex?
I think he could be in the mix for sure then. Jinner then, of course, looking to try and crack on then from, I think it was P5 or 6 last season. So we'll see what he can do. But Jay Hings then coming up from bronze, like you said, as he did a fantastic job. Then it was just a shame for Jay Hings that there was 2 drivers that were just a bit quicker than in R2B and Tom Huffy last season, and of course they've gone straight to gold. So Jay Hings then going up to silver. Then looking forward to seeing what he can do.
Red Bull is next on the off the wheel. I like this Red Bull this year, don't you? I do like a bit of the tingy blue. I really do. It's one of my favourite cars actually on the field. Red Bull, of course, powered by their own engine of Red Bull Ford. I love it. I love saying Ford. It makes us feel very professional, doesn't it? Red Bull, in terms of the Constructors' Championship last season, well, they can't do any worse because they finished last in the Constructors last season. Well, they could because there's 11 teams this season. Slough is first off the wheel, and unfortunately for Slough's point of view, he was a part of the Red Bull, so he stays there. So I don't think Slough was the problem with Red Bull last season. I think it was Red Bull being their own problem. Slough making their 29th Grand Prix start in their career for silver. Slough, of course, a winner in gold then. He's never won in silver, has he? And has never got a podium finish either, which is quite surprising there. So I think that Slough is going to be a new winner this season. And then we have got Chaza. And the last time Chaza raced in silver, but I wanted to find this out, was actually season 3 of Russia, and he finished 17th there. So the omens are looking pretty good for Chaza, Alex.
Well, it's almost the only way is up there for Chazza, but no, I'm sure Chazza will do a great job then in silver as well. Then in soft, then if he can find that form as well, then as the two very not very old, no, very very experienced. That's what I'm trying to say. They're very experienced league racers actually in that Red Bull team. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do together then in the Red Bull for silver.
Old is golden. Don't worry about that. I say it to myself. Me and Farf say it to ourselves all the time, don't we? Alex is not too far behind. He's catching us up as well. Luckily, I age in dog years. Oh, yes. Audi is next off the wheel. Oh, I love it. I just love having Audi in Formula 1. Next, we need Porsche, don't we? Anyway, goodness me. Yeah, maybe not, actually. Right then, next off the wheel is... it's the Real Fig. I apologise to the Real Fig because I got you and Debo Croc mixed up last season. The Real Fig, I was very much a... I just feel that the Real Fig always had unlucky races, whether a safety car came out the wrong time, whether strategy just went a bit skew with for the Real Fig. Of course, best result of 7th position in their career, but of course only made their debut back in Azerbaijan of season 10 there for the Real Fig. So I do think the Real Fig could really be a breakout star this season. And Vessier, who finished 4th in the championship last season, so if I go by my stats book, then that means that Vessier is going to be the silver champion this season, and I don't think that's too far-fetched. Vessier with 2 Grand Prix wins in his career, 13 podiums there for Vessier. I gotta say, I do think that Vessier is going to be one for the title this season.
Definitely a contender. I have to say, yeah, I agree with you there. It's going to be interesting to see then how the season goes then for Audi. Real Fig again. I think if he can step up then and get those performances, get that bit of unluck, whatever it's called, unluckiness out of the way, then I think that will be a pretty good team then for Audi then going into next season for silver.
And last but no means least is the Aston Martin Honda. Then, of course, the Adrian Newey dream machine, which has turned into a bit of a nightmare, unfortunately, hasn't it? We've only got 2 drivers left off the board now, and 2 drivers which I must say, yin and yang, really. Now, this is going to get interesting. Dynamo Dan, then, of course, sorry, I shouted there, didn't I? Dynamo Dan, who best result of 5th there, but remember, Dynamo Dan only returning to silver, I think making his debut in silver in Australia this time last season there for Dynamo Dan. Really impressive stuff indeed there. Got his special sort of 5th position as well. Never retired from a silver race either, Dynamo Dan, and of course got a lot of credentials as well as a driver who runner-up in the bronze championship to Ginner, of course, a few seasons ago, because I remember that quite well, as Alex was commentating when Dynamo Dan unfortunately conked out in China. Sadly, it was also my birthday as well. Camera Racer is next off the board. Camera Racer making his 120th Grand Prix start there. A Grand Prix win with 6 pole positions there, which is the most of anyone in the field, and 8 podiums as well. But for Camera Racer, a lot of retirements there. So but I must admit that retirement rate has very much slowed in recent years.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do, because I think Dynamo Dan has shown in his last couple of seasons in silver that he's done a really good job of improving. Then, and Kamara Racer, we've seen, ever since he's been racing with us, a consistency in terms of the pace. It's just getting the results at the end of it as well. So I think it'll be an interesting lineup then for Aston Martin. Then, Sean, then it's time to predict who you think is going to win everything then in silver.
I'm going with Vessier for the Drivers' Championship, and I'm going for McLaren for the Constructors. So that ain't going to happen, is it?
Right. Unfortunately, the 3 of you have been cursed. I'm going to go with an outside a dark horse shout of Alpine, and I think they might go further than they did then in the Constructors last season as well.
I like that. They're an untested team, aren't they, Alpine are? So that is a great shout. But if you're wrong, I'm going to keep repeating it on stream every time I'm commentating on something.
I'm changing my mind. I'm going for I don't know. I'm going for every team. Every team's going to win the Constructors. I think they're all pretty good, to be fair.
Shocking. But by the way, Farf reckons he's going to win, so that can't be any worse than his shout. Gold is next. Poor Farf. He ain't even in this video, is he? And we're already picking on him. It is Gold next then. And oh my gosh, I must admit, I do like having these wheels on the same screen. It's fantastic, isn't it? Now, very much mesmerizes you. So 22 drivers then in Gold. Then, of course, we're almost done now. Goodness gracious me. Having an extra 2 drivers for each grid there. Goodness me. We're taking our time, ain't we? First off the board is the Haas team. Haas finished 5th in the Constructors' Championship last season. Of course, so Van Von really got his race-winning ways underway. I don't think that's right, but never mind. Really started to get a flow, though, with Van Von finished 5th in the Championship last season, didn't he, Van Von? So Haas very much on the ascendancy for the American team, even though they're not really the American team anymore. That's Cadillac, which I'm so happy that's in Formula One. Fantastic. First off the wheel is, I hope it's first off the wheel because I've been yabbering on, I wasn't watching the video. It's Pot Stuff. Pot Stuff, of course, second in the championship in silver last season. Pot Stuff had six attempts at gold in his previous attempts. Of course, only finishing 7th only. I wish I could finish 7th. Finished 7th in his previous career there for Pot Stuff, but I do feel that Pot Stuff's a different driver. I think it's going to be very similar to the silver going into gold as bronze went to silver from last season, if you get the cut of my jib. That was very complicated, wasn't it? But there we go. Are we still on the Haas? We are indeed. Equals next off the wheel then. Finished 2nd in Canada. I think that we should just race around Canada all the time for Equals because that defines his career. Debut race for Equals in gold was season 4 in Canada. Won his first race and also got a podium there as well. But that is the Haas team there of Equals and Pot Stuff. Of course, Equals does not retire a lot of the times. 135 Grand Prix starts, only 9 retirements there. Pot Stuff has never retired from a Grand Prix. I do think the question mark is over Pot Stuff. We know what Equals can do, but what can Pot Stuff do in gold, Alex?
Well, Pot Stuff's been stuck in the Haas then after his escapades in silver last season as well then. But I think that's going to be a very consistent lineup indeed then for Team Haas. I'm looking forward to seeing the pair of them together.
Next up on the board is the Racing Bulls team. The only way is up as they finished 10th in the Constructors last season. Only 27 points there, which I think is the lowest tally in an ALR Grand Prix race then. So that's not going to that's going to upset Emerson, isn't it? Oh, well, would you look at that? Is that Emerson? Hang on. No, then it's Julian. I thought it was Emerson then. I was like, talking to the devil. Goodness me, I reckon he's behind me. All right, Julian then. So I think the Racing Bulls are going to be overjoyed with that because if we had Emerson, I think it would have been do I call him a husband? Yeah. It would have been like, Emerson has not won a race for a very long time. Julian has, though. Julian's won 3 races there and the only driver on my stat book with a 0.5 of a point, which upsets me, but there you go. Julian now, of course, only 7 DNFs there with 30 starts as well. Oh, well, never mind. I was right the first time. And then Emerson off the board as well with 33 Grand Prix starts. A 2-time world champion and the only world champion on the grid as well. However, unluckily for Emerson, he only scored 3 points last season, which is one of the reasons why Racing Bull was so low, Alex.
It's so mean. Julian, I think, is going to be a candidate for the Drivers' Championship. Sorry. Emerson, I think, is going to be getting some points next season, so it'll be good. But yeah, looking forward to seeing how Racing Bulls do then, and Julian a shout then for a Drivers' Champion potentially as well.
Well, that was my pick, so I'm going to have to find something different now, aren't I? Audi next off the wheel. Of course, Julian finished 4th in the championship last season, so really good stuff for Julian as well, and very much him and Brabant there, I reckon, is going to be very interesting this season. Anyway, where are we? Audi, yes, of course, Audi. Goodness me, I'm all over the show now. I can't say much, can I? I've like, given Emerson all this grief yet, and I can't even I don't think I've even done a race yet on the new game then, so perhaps I should probably wipe my neck in. Tom Huffy is off the board. My goodness me, that man, we've brought in the Huffy rule because he completely redefined bronze last season. He was superb, Alex, fantastic. Only 3 starts in gold this season, but that is not even half the story. Tom Huffy had so many pole positions in a row. I've lost count then, I can only count to 10. And that's even being from the forest as well. I have weird fingers. But Tom Huffy off the wheel then for Audi, and there is Legends as well. Or is it Legende? Serious Mushroom keeps giving me grief for. But Legends are 82 Grand Prix starts now. I remember you brought him in a few seasons ago. Season 10 and 82 starts in 4 seasons. It's superb, Alex.
Yeah, again, a very consistent driver as well then, so let's see what Legend can do then. And like you said, Tom Huffy, then I think some of those qualifying times last season would have put him in the definitely in the top 10 then in gold as well then. So looking forward to seeing how he's going to fare then for the Audi team then. That's a good pairing indeed.
I'm going to go on a limb. I reckon Tom Huffy's going to get a Grand Prix win this season. Alpine, I've got Audi on the brain. Alpine is next off the wheel. I love the fact we got new teams in F1. It's so good. Alpine is next off the wheel, and they're going to have a new colour scheme next season. But of course, that's 2 seasons time. But Alpine finished. Where did they finish last season in gold? Then I can't even see them on the list. Did I not tally them? Oh, they're third. I'm just going in colourblind. Third in the Constructors' Championship last season for the Alpine team, of course. Mehdi did a good job with Alpine, of course. Him and Flippy was going head to head. However, Alpine have gone from a runner-up to a champion there. Of course, KD, who's raced 13 times in his career in gold, has never stood on the podium, has KD. But like I'm saying with oh gosh, I can't remember what I was saying now. But yeah, he's a change driver as well. KD is there, of course. I do think that KD is going to get podiums and maybe even a first-time Grand Prix winner as well this season. Is that R2 Pete? Oh no, it's I sounded disappointed there, did I? Oh, sorry, Pete. Pete is next up the wheel. 88 Grand Prix starts there with 7 Grand Prix wins, 3 pole positions as well. And on this grid this season, there's a lack of Grand Prix winners there, which is very interesting. I feel that it's going to be a big shake-up in gold this season. Of course, Emerson has 33, but Pease is the second highest with 7 there. That Alpine team, I do feel that with Pease with 88 starts, with KD with 12 starts, it's very tough to call. I think it's like silver, isn't it?
I think they're going to be pretty good then for the pink machine. Then, so looking forward to seeing how KD then steps up from silver as well. Then, and of course we know what the total penis can do. So looking forward to seeing total peas or REL peas then back on the grid again.
I still call them total peas on my spreadsheets. I need to change it. But yeah,
bring back total peas.
Yes, total peas. I'm so unhappy that the place that you're now allowed to change your name on PlayStation, because it really caused havoc with me. But there you go. Williams next, then. So is Alex going to be off the board? No. Who's off the board? Oh, making their debut this season as well. Then it is Basil. I apologise profusely if I pronounce any of your names wrong. I can't even read my own name. But making their debut this season, so that is going to be very interesting. I think that's one of 2 debutants on the grid for gold. Oh, I love it. And then I think that I really hope you'll come off the board, Alex, because I know how much you love the Williams.
Ooh.
You know, it's nowhere near you, is it? I'm going to be honest. I was like, what are you doing? It's Mad Max. And Williams has got a very inexperienced lineup there. Mad Max, by the way, did win that incredible race in Zandvoort, the event league, a season or 2 ago. Mad Max has never finished higher than 9th in his career in gold there. Williams lacking a lot of experience there, Alex. Is that going to come to haunt him?
We could do, but I think again they've both got some good pace there in Baz and of course Mad Max as well. Then, so I think that might be a pretty good team as well for Williams. So looking forward to having them both on the grid and seeing what they can do in full-time positions.
Next up is Aston Martin. By the way, I apologise to you because I forgot you weren't a full-time driver in Williams, so I was putting all the blame on you for them finishing 9th. Aston Martin next on the board. Yeah. Aston Martin next off the board. Oh, I'm having too much fun, goodness me. And this is why I don't do co-commentating, you see, because we wouldn't even be talking about the races half the time. And also, I don't know how to work it. Aston Martin is next off the wheel. Of course, Aston Martin, the Constructors' Championship from last season, and they, of course, I think that's their first Constructors' Championship as well. It's going to be difficult to retain, though, isn't it? Well, I say that I'm going to actually I'm going to refrain from that comment because, of course, Sweet, who was he was so good last season, wasn't he? Sweet was really impressive stuff for Sweet, and I do feel that he was the most improved. He was my most improved driver. Really impressive stuff indeed there for Sweet. There, I feel he's going to be a first-time Grand Prix winner. And talking of a first-time Grand Prix winners, Van Von, who is now a 3-time Grand Prix winner. He didn't win his debut race last season, did he? He'd won it the season before, but there you go. But he did win 2 last seasons, didn't he? And the last 2 races he won was the last 2 races he participated in. He had won. So Aston Martin, I think that's a good lineup. That is a very good lineup.
Well, talk about retaining the constructors' title. I think they might have picked 2 more drivers that can get them another one, then back to back potentially there, and. Yeah, I think we might see both of them challenging for the championship in the drivers as well.
I am thinking of Van Von. His performance in the there was two. He missed the final race, but the last two races he performed in, he was impressive, wasn't he? Of course, winning those final two races. But we'll talk more about that in Australia. Van Von, Cadillac next off the wheel. Goodness me, I love Cadillac. They're great, and you're going to just be hearing that all season about me loving Cadillac and Audi. Sorry to the other 9 teams, but there you go. For Cadillac, and first off, 10.
Sorry to the other 10 teams.
Sorry to the other 10, I apologise. Marquis first off the wheel. 76 Grand Prix starts for Marquis. Never had a Grand Prix win, but he has had 2 podium finishes there for Marquis. So I think Cadillac exactly what they want there. Marquis, I've finished 16th in the championship last season. I don't think he got on with Alpine at all, though. So it'd be interesting to see how he does in Cadillac, of course, and having a Ferrari engine behind him instead of that horrific Renault engine that he had to use last season. And R2 beat the second debutant on my list, and R2 beat their bronze champion, going from bronze to gold there, Alex. He's doing Max Verstappen potentially. I can't remember. We went from F3 to F1 then, but Cadillac.
Yeah, I think, like I said, Marquis is exactly the experience you want to need in a new team like a Cadillac. And then, of course, an R2 beat a champion, then as well, then taking on the gold mantra as well. So let's see what they can do for the newest team on the grid.
Really interesting stuff indeed. I think Cadillac will have a solid base for both those drivers there. Mercedes next off the wheel. Then Mercedes just outside the top 3 last season. They finished 4th there. I say just outside the points, outside the top 3. There is a mammoth gap between the top 3 and the rest of the constructors last season. Mercedes were 93 points adrift there, but they did finish 4th nonetheless. And so there's a lot of negativity in that statement, wasn't there? Maybe I should have just left out that final statement. As coming off the board is Sweet Crown. Then, or we may have known him as Wooter in his previous guys, but Sweet Crown, who coming off the board, and of course a Grand Prix winner. I don't think he won with Sweet Crown. He won with his previous name tag there, but a 2-time pole sitter and a 6-time podium sitter as well, making his 30th Grand Prix start down under in Australia for Sweet Crown, making their debut back in season 8. Then I think that was the cursed F1 2022 game, wasn't it? Ooh. No disrespect to Sweet Crown, but we didn't like F1 22. And then Duke coming off the board as well. 5 Grand Prix starts there for Duke, no higher than 7th, but again for Duke, then that was a reserve role rather than a full-time driver. And when you're a full-time driver, it does change your attitude, doesn't it, Alex?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how both of them fare as well. Then, of course, Sweet Crown jumped in, I think, halfway through the season last season, so didn't get the full season under his belt then. So starting off then in Australia, then winning that Mercedes, then we'll see what he can do. Then it could potentially be a challenger as well then in Duke. And we've seen some great pace from Duke in previous seasons. Hopefully he can crack on then and carry on that pace as well.
Certainly can. I do think that Duke might be an outside bet. I do feel that Duke will also get Grand Prix wins. Basically, I've said half the grid will, won't they? But I do think it's a very strong lineup then. The lack of Grand Prix winners. Ferrari's knocked off the board. They finished 7th for the constructors last season. Side note there. But I think the lack of Grand Prix winners on this field then is certainly going to be a completely different goal grid this season. Well, this man has had a Grand Prix win or 2, hasn't he? He's had 2 Grand Prix wins, has Brabham there. Finished in the top 3 last season, finished 4 in the top 4 the season before, did Brabham there, and I feel that Brabham might be the odds-on favourite, or the bookies' favourite, to win the Drivers' Championship there. Of course, finished 3rd last season, the highest driver to return to the Gold Championship then. 18 podiums as well, and only 3 DNFs in his 83 Grand Prix starts. That is redonkulous. That's incredible. And then we got Knowlesy, who's only made 9 DNFs in his 175 Grand Prix starts. Goodness gracious me. A 3-time Grand Prix win as well. His last Grand Prix win was back in Australia, season 5 or 4 or 6. What about Ferrari, Alex?
Well, sure.
One half's all right.
Yeah, one half's all right. Good luck to Brabham. Well, yeah, Brabham can go for the drivers, and he's not going to have any hope in the constructors. So, we'll leave it there. But yeah, looking forward to seeing what Brabham can do.
apart from Key, I think we should ban the driver admins from driving, shouldn't we? Or bring me back, so I'm a constructors championship, one half with Dylan. Red Bull next off the wheel. Red Bull, they finished. Where did they finish last season? They finished 6th. I'm going to be honest. I need to change my color coordination on this old spreadsheet, or maybe I'm just need to get some specs. I reckon. But Red Bull finished 6th. It was a midfield last season, weren't they? But unfortunately, that's because Immortal was unable to drive for most of the season last season, and sadly Nameless has not returned either, which I'm very devastated by. But Nameless finished 11th in the Drivers' Championship, so it's all new at Red Bull. Well, it's all new in most teams, isn't it, really? But it's all new in the Red Bull team. And first off the board is Kieran, and I've got to say, I feel that Kieran has never had a podium, but he was so close in Canada before that Anarchy happened, which, by the way, is my favourite race of last season. Now, of course, obviously it wasn't the admins there, was it? But no. I love Anarchy. And 20th Grand Prix start for Kieran down there in Australia. Their best result of 4th position. And Tory, what a season that Tory had as well in in silver last season. Finished 3rd in the Drivers' Championship, but I do feel that Tory did have flashes of brilliance there. But I'm going to say the C word again: consistency. Alex, not Cadillac. Consistency. Tory's never finished in the top 10, but if he can nail down that consistency, he's one of the quickest drivers, isn't he?
I think there's two drivers in the Red Bull team that is going to be pretty good next season. Then, so I'm looking forward to seeing how Kieran and Tory both fare. Then, of course, Tory coming up from silver as well. Then, like you said, was competing at the top of the order. Then let's see what we can do in gold with McLaren last off the wheel.
McLaren are the most successful constructors on the grid, apart from Renault, but Renault not on the grid anymore. But McLaren have 3 constructors championships to their name. They finished 8th for the constructors last season, though. So a new dawn, it's a new day, and whatever that song says. And I've only got 2 drivers left, Fred. So no guesses who's going to be off the wheel here. It's no, that is X-Gamer. Gosh, I'm
still couldn't get it right.
That's what happened. I know. X-Gamer off the wheel. Great to see X-Gamer return. What are you offering them, Alex? We're getting a load of returnees. I love it, though. X-Gamer now returning back to gold then. Of course, made their debut in Singapore Season 2. Almost as old as you, Alex. Incredible. Has 4 podiums to his name as well there for X-Gamer. And Sebastian winning that incredible race in USA. That was my favourite race of the season last season. It was superb driving from Sebastian, getting their first Grand Prix win as well. And Sebastian, a very, of course, 22 Grand Prix starts for Sebastian. I feel that driver there could be a major factor in the outcome of the Drivers' Championship. Hopefully a good way and not a bad way, but I don't mean doing a Michael Schumacher or Jack Fielder. But that is the grids, Alex, there. For gold then, I'm going to make a bold prediction. I think Julian's going to... No, you've already picked Julian, haven't you? Do you want to go first and I'll go next?
Brabbitt, Julian, Kaz, top 3. Ferrari constructors. I'm going to do it.
Ooh, I ain't going to be able to pick a top 3. Luckily, we're out of time. Right. Absolutely fantastic. Those are the grids, by the way. And of course, we will be getting racing down under in Australia. There are 20 races on the calendar. The calendar has been announced then on the Discord, but of course, there will be all on the social medias as well and all that kind of jazz. Thank you very much to Alex there, as another driver draw is in the history books. Then we'll be going racing in a few weeks' time. Then, Alex, do we know the date?
Well, it's 2 weeks from today when this is live.
when this is live and not after the England game. Thank you very much, everyone. It's been a pleasure as always. And we'll leave you with those drivers from gold then on the screen, as I need to quench my thirst. Goodbye.